Nevada is the latest state to protect LGBTQ youth from ex-gay camps, and surprisingly enough, they're doing it with help from the Mormon Church. The American Medical Association just issued its strongest statement yet opposing pray away the gay treatment. A new report shows how the Trump administration is undoing decades of civil rights advances, and Nigerian authorities are trying to send dozens of men to prison for 14 years for the crime of being in same-sex relationships. We'll have the week's top LGBTQ news and actions you can take on Weekly Debrief. Weekly Debrief is made possible by everyone who pledges their support on Patreon. If you're finding these videos helpful, head over to patreon.com/mattbaum to check out the rewards for backers. Let's start with some good news from Nevada. The state will soon restrict, but not ban, ex-gay treatment for minors. This is a step in the right direction, and it's happening with support from the LDS Church. Mormon leaders had previously opposed the state's efforts to block pray away the gay efforts for minors, but after several weeks of negotiations with regulators, now the church is on board. As regulations go, the Nevada rule change is kind of weak. It has a bunch of loopholes that would allow religious groups and parents to continue engaging in the harmful practice. Still, it's better than nothing, and starting next month, Nevada will join nearly 24 other states in providing at least some level of protection against the harmful practice. And that number could soon increase. The American Medical Association just endorsed efforts to ban conversion therapy nationwide. The organization says that the practice has no foundation as scientifically valid medical care. Ex-gay practices have already been rejected by numerous major medical organizations around the country, but this is the strongest statement yet from a group that represents hundreds of thousands of doctors. Also this week, a new report from the Bipartisan Commission on Human Rights says that the Republican administration is undoing decades of human rights advances, particularly for LGBTQ Americans. The 600-page report says that there have been numerous policy changes from the Trump administration that have eliminated protections for queer people, underscoring just how important next year's presidential election is going to be. Overseas, authorities in Nigeria have charged dozens of men with being gay. This is widely seen as a test case for the country's ban on gay marriage, which, strangely, also bans any public display of amorous relationships. The men pled not guilty this week. If they're convicted, they could face up to 14 years in jail. Nigerian human rights organizers have their work cut out for them in fighting to overturn that law. This week's action item is to connect with Outright International, which advocates for human rights all over the world. Head over to outrightinternational.org to donate, volunteer, or follow them on social media to stay up to date on their very important work. As always, let me know about stories that need covering at Matt Baum on Twitter and in the YouTube comments. If you find these videos helpful, head over to patreon.com/mattbaum to pledge your support and check out the rewards for backers, and I'll debrief you next week.